Now we turn to a Beat exclusive. I am joined for a live interview by three key former Trump insiders and witnesses. They're speaking out at a time that the investigations are at a criminal pitch in New York for the Trump Organization. I'm joined by Jennifer Weisselberg, the former daughter-in-law of Trump Org CFO Allen Weisselberg, who is reportedly under significant pressure in this Trump Org criminal probe. We're also joined by Stephanie Winston Wolkoff, a former senior advisor to Melania Trump and a former close friend of both Trumps. She helped organize the 2016 inauguration. Her book is Melania and Me, The Rise and Fall of My Friendship with the First Lady. And Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former lawyer, host of the Mea Culpa podcast, author of the book Disloyal. I want to be clear, the three people you see here have a lot of firsthand knowledge that separates them from many other individuals that we rely on for a range of information and expertise. But rarely do we get firsthand witnesses, and rarely together. Think about just what they know in these proceedings surrounding Trump, the Trump family, and his company.
President Trump's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen.
Michael, you're sounding the alarm.
If anyone knows where the bodies are buried in the Trump Organization, it's Michael Cohen.
Former friend and advisor to First Lady Melania Trump.
Her name is Stephanie Winston Wolkoff.
Ms. Wolkoff, of course, also played a key role in organizing the Trump inauguration.
Weisselberg's former daughter-in-law has confirmed she's been cooperating with the New York Attorney General all along.
She's the former daughter-in-law of Allen Weisselberg, the top Trump executive, why she's now cooperating with prosecutors and why she thinks Allen Weisselberg will flip on Trump.
Each of you know a lot and have been busy. I appreciate you all joining us on the Beat to do this interview. Thank you to each of you.
You're welcome, Ari.
Appreciate it. We have set aside time for this, so we'll be able to hopefully get some depth and purpose out of this. Jennifer, I want to start with you. What does Allen Weisselberg, in your view, know about the Trump Org that's of interest to these criminal investigators?
I mean, I think he's the one he's the maestro. I think he's the one that has orchestrated, he's at the apex of it. I think that I don't fully believe that Donald knows the ins and outs, and not of what's going on. He would absolutely be fine with whatever would save him money on his taxes to benefit him. But Allen is the one that has orchestrated all of it and put the family and everyone in a really bad position.
Why is it a bad position at this point, in your view?
I mean, I think that there are serious allegations of tax fraud and tax evasion and you know, criminality.
Did you ever see Allen criminality? Did you ever see Allen operate in a way that made you think or question whether he thought that he or the Trump Org had crossed legal lines?
Yeah, Allen himself admitted to me that his taxes and pay stubs, he said, I'll never show those. Oh, no, he's supposed to be the guarantor on my apartment, my lease, after I was getting divorced. And he said, when I was getting divorced, excuse me. And he said, oh, no, I can't show my taxes. I can't show my pay stubs. And I thought, why not? You know, basically he was saying they're illegal and I'm not releasing them. It was during the Cohen SDNY investigation. Pretty telling.
So he had access to money that, if it were, in your view, legitimate, it would be not a big deal to privately circulate that kind of financial material. And he conveyed to you that the reason was a sense of awareness of guilt, or that it would be looked at as criminal by potentially other parties?
Ari, you know, the reason I believe he'll flip, yes, is because since his behavior since 2017, what I've witnessed is that when he took over as trustee, he was not only nervous, but he started immediately hiding money in escrow, confidentially, for example, like in the lawyers, Barry's lawyer in a civil case, hiding money in escrow and confidentially having them cut checks that would make him vulnerable to tax evasion, tax fraud, compensation, gift taxes. So that's how he's, you know, hiding his culpability and already saving himself.
And before I bring in our other guests here, Jennifer, there were payments, as we've read, for your children's tuition. That's correct?
Correct. That's one of
what was the
issues.
Go ahead. Well, I was going to ask, what was the purpose of that? And do you think that that's an exposure there for Mr. Weisselberg for investigators?
Oh, I think it's not only an exposure for Alan. I think it's an exposure for Donald. He was writing one of them, too. And inside the Trump Payroll Corp, which is the hub of the issues for, employee taxes, state, federal, disability, insurance, workers' comp, saving on that, reporting 1/5 of your actual income. Donald Trump himself was writing that to lower compensation taxes in Trump Payroll Corp, as well as Alan. But as Barry says in his depositions, it was his compensation.
Michael Cohen is here with us. Michael, how does this all sound to you? Because some of those details and accounts are things that might be consistent with what you experienced. But because of the family nature, I don't know that you knew all of them directly. Does that sound like how Mr. Weisselberg operated? And do you think he has legal exposure?
Well, I think if you take a look at the panel that's here in front of you, Ari, you have what I would term to be the trifecta of trouble for Trump. If you take a look, you have, of course, Stephanie, who has the Melania and the Presidential Inaugural Committee. You have Jennifer, who deals directly with the CFO, and myself that sort of encompasses Trump and family, as well as the organization. But Alan is a very interesting guy because Alan was the gatekeeper for every penny that came in and went out of the Trump organization. But it wasn't just the Trump organization. It was also Donald's personal accounts. It was the kids' business accounts. It was the Presidential Inaugural Committee. It was the campaign. Any penny that had anything to do with Donald Trump went through Alan Weisselberg's desk. So now that they have Alan sort of under investigation. I remember once I had bumped into Alan and the family at a restaurant here in the city. And when I went over to say hello, he was like, "Oh, you can't talk to me. You can't talk to me. You're under investigation." Well, I really do hope that as soon as I get off of home confinement and I hopefully bump into him again, I can turn around and I can say to him the exact same thing. But I do believe that he has significant exposure. And I think his exposure is not one that you can just hide, because the beautiful thing about numbers is numbers don't lie. People do. And as we know, Donald lies about everything. Donald lies and Alan swears for it. So it's a question of whether or not Alan wants to now serve time in his golden years, or he wants to provide the information to the multitude of different organizations, law enforcement organizations that are currently investigating him. My suspicion is that he's going to provide the information they want.
Let's take that point to Jennifer. And it's interesting hearing you say that, Michael, because as I think viewers know, there was one point in time where you were making arrangements for Donald Trump's benefit, the NDAs and other financial payments. And you reached, when it was all said and done, you partly did what you were saying Alan did, which was you committed to things for him and ultimately unwound them. And everyone knows the story. Jennifer, what do you think of Michael's view?
Ari, I'm so sorry. Just one quick. Alan was involved in every aspect of that transaction as well, which, of course, is something that, one would have to expect that he, too, would be a co-conspirator to the hush money payments. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jennifer.
No, let me take it to Jennifer, and I think Michael raises at least a fair question, which is whether this review will go through all of those things. You've each attested to the fact that Mr. Weisselberg is under heat here because of how much money he's involved with, that there wasn't any money of any significant sum that he didn't have his hands on. We'll get to Stephanie on that point, too. But Jennifer, go ahead.
I'm sorry. All right, what was the question exactly?
Well, there's, more than one question when we have this much going on. But one question that Michael raised was that he didn't think that Mr. Weisselberg ultimately would go to risk jail or take personal risk to save Donald Trump in the end.
Oh, no.
What is your view of that?
Oh, no, he's going to flip. Absolutely. He'll save himself. No, I mean, him and Donald are just the same. There's no difference. They'll save themselves at any cost. No. That's what I was saying. He's already.
And Jennifer.
He's already, for example, all of a sudden he was getting stated with an apartment at Trump Place. All of a sudden in 2017, he's suddenly showing that he's paying rent for an apartment because it wasn't appearing on his taxes at all. It's not that it's indicated incorrectly. It's that they're missing. And that's what my voice brought to the investigations, was what was missing, what the numbers are supposed to be, what I really know because I lived it for 28 years. So, it has all been deemed true, and I can tell them what number's wrong and how I know it's wrong. But there are a lot of differences when Donald says numbers are certain things and then Alan says numbers are certain things. They're not adding up.
So do you think, Jennifer, it's crossed Alan's mind that he could be in the situation that Mr. Cohen was in? That in the end, Donald Trump is not only disloyal or unappreciative of whatever may have been done, but actually tries to pin the blame on everybody else. Has that crossed Alan's mind yet, do you think?
I don't know if it's crossed his mind, but let me tell you something. He should be. Okay? What he's done to Michael and his family, Stephanie and her family, to my family, and Michael knows. But I can't say everything right now because he put a gag order on me. Talk about hush money. He put a gag order on me in my civil case. I can only say so much right now. What he's done to my family, which is his own blood, his own family. If nothing else depicts who this man is, and Donald does not know that. They do not realize who he is at home. He's not the same person at the organization. He's abusive. And he shut me down.
So let me bring in Stephanie. Let me bring in Stephanie, who's also got a lot of experiences and been patiently with us. And thank you, Stephanie. I guess my first question to you is, given your work with the First Lady and Mr. Weisselberg's interaction with the inaugural funds and other projects you were involved in, what do you think about all the above?
I think that all roads lead to Alan Weisselberg. I mean, all fingers point to him. And I was shocked to find out that a year after the 50th Presidential Inauguration Committee was supposed to file their Form 990 to the Federal Elections Committee, that they're claiming that $107 million has been accounted for. Well, it doesn't sound like it to me. It doesn't look like it to me. And you know what? There are a lot of inconsistencies and half-truths and flat-out lies in the deposition. And people need to be held accountable. Lies don't work. The truth eventually comes out, and I think it's a lot easier to actually tell the truth because you can't keep up with all the lies. And they're now tripping over one another, all of them.